Now, one of the most pressing questions for a young performer is, how do I get an agent? It can be hard to get work without one, but then it can be hard to get an agent without the work. So I'm going to answer some of the common questions about what an agent does, how we get one, and do we really need one? Hi, I'm Scott. You're watching Inside Musicals, the channel for all things musical theatre. Now, if you want to know how things work after we get an agent, let me know and I'll do a follow-up. But today we're going to look at how we get to that point and how an agent functions in the industry. There are always going to be exceptions to anything I say, but this is generally how things work. The first thing to know about agents is what they're not. And they're not your employer, because they don't create the job. They might send you on an audition for, say, a production company who employs you, and in turn, you employ your agent for their representation, the services they provide, which prompts the question, what type of agent do I look for? And by type, I don't mean like the fast-talking chain smoker or the flamboyant social butterfly. I'm talking casting agent, booking agent, talent agent. Now, a casting agent doesn't work on behalf of actors. They coordinate auditions on behalf of a production company, producer, director. They'll screen test, shortlist actors and make recommendations to the director. So as an actor, you'll meet with a casting agent, more for film than for theatre, but you're not on their books, so to speak. And if this were a relationship, they'd kind of be like the maiden aunt chaperoning the first date. But getting to first base, that's up to you. Then we have booking agents. And these are not so much for freelance actors as for pre-packaged shows of some kind. And this relationship's more of a marketplace. Think Tinder for talent. It's purely transactional. They hook up an act with an event. So if someone, for instance, wants a harpist, cover band, balloon artist for a wedding, it's not my wedding, I don't care. They go through a booking agent. If you have your own cabaret show, you might list it with a booking agent. The thing is, you set your own fee, they add their fee on top, and then the client pays. So they don't negotiate the deal, they just broker the transaction. They're not actively promoting you, you're just listed there. But it's usually non-exclusive, so you can be seeing other booking agents at the same time. Now, as an actor, you're more likely to have an artist agent, talent agent, theatrical agent, some kind of creative management. Now, if we think of a booking agent as a one-night stand, an artist agent is an exclusive long-term relationship. You're both committed, they love you very much, they'll pimp you out for $1 to pay the bills. Good times, happy marriage, and they'll still be there for you in the morning. In the industry, they're your primary professional representative. They actively guide your career, they'll field opportunities, negotiate contracts, sometimes coordinate payments, but they're also an important communication buffer between you and your employer. Just say there's an issue and the producer bails you up at rehearsal. You can be like, pff, agents. When they go to your agent, they're like, pff, artists. It's a little dance we do. Having an agent is mutually beneficial because there's an incentive for them to keep you in work. When you work, they get paid, usually a percentage of your income, kind of like tithing, except they're not a cult, usually. So what do we look for in an agent? Ultimately, it's someone who has our back and is in a position to increase our profile, our value, and our work opportunities. But before approaching a talent agent, it's worth considering what area of the industry you want to work in, because most of them specialise. Some are exclusively for models, some might be for writers or composers, then some are more for celebrities or non-acting performers like TV presenters, newsreaders, reality TV stars. And then even among actors' agents, some of them might lean more towards film and TV or theatre, musical theatre and cabaret, or dance. There's usually some crossover, but it's worth doing some research so you're not wasting anyone's time. Best place to start is their website, because they'll usually define their niche and they always list their artists, so you get a sense of the calibre of the talent and the size of the agency. But big is not always best. While it could mean that they're well established and have some clout, it could also mean that you get overlooked if you're new, whereas maybe a smaller, hungrier agent will work harder to keep you employed. And while there's a hierarchy among agents from entry-level to A-list, it doesn't always make a big difference to your opportunities because most reputable agents get casting calls for most jobs. The biggest difference is some of the top-tier agencies may have priority for certain roles or projects. They may have better access to certain directors or producers. And they may have more bargaining power. But in reality, you probably need to be established before any of that really comes into play. If things really don't work out, you can always change agents. Now, before we talk about how to approach an agent, a couple of cautions. There are some large agencies out there that represent extras. Extras play those anonymous roles in the background of scenes, say on a street, in a cafe, in an office building. They don't get lines and they don't get individualised direction, except maybe in the context of a crowd. Occasionally you might have a featured extra with such descriptions as homeless man pooping in corner of train carriage, clumsy waitress dropping tray of food, gormless tourist trampled by Godzilla. But most of these are not going to be credited roles. Working as an extra gives you experience on a film set without a lot of responsibility, so it can be a great way to learn. But being with an extras agent won't necessarily lead to speaking roles, because that's not what casting directors go to them for. On the upside, these agencies are usually easy to get into because you don't need acting experience. And if you don't like auditions, most extras don't have to audition for roles. They simply submit a photo and measurements, production either wants you or they don't, and you rock up on the day. So if you don't have luck finding an agent, this could be a useful starting point to build your CV while you keep looking. On the downside, they may have thousands of people on their books, so you may not ever get any work, or at least not enough to live on. For them, it's a numbers game. As long as they have enough faces to fill the background, they'll earn their commission. That's not to say they're unscrupulous. There are certainly reputable ones, but always read the contract because it's a legally binding agreement. And here's my other caution. If an agent ever says that they'll put you on their books if you pay to do their courses or pay for their in-house headshots, thank them for their time and walk away. Because you could find yourself in debt to them. Because even if they get you work, they not only take their 10%, but they might withhold some of those earnings to recoup the cost of those courses, so you may never see any money. Let's say we've shortlisted some agents. How do we approach them? Unless they say otherwise, either a phone call or a physical letter with a photo and CV. Yeah, email is easy, but it's just as easily lost. Whereas a physical, tangible letter can at least land on someone's desk where they'll find it. And with a phone call, even if they say their books are closed, you could at least ask follow-up questions like, when will your books open again? Under what circumstances? Do you have a waiting list? Can I be on it? Can I contact you again? But this initial contact should be brief. Simply say that you're a performer looking for representation and you'd like to set up a meeting. If they want to know about your experience, they'll ask you at that stage. And timing can be really important. If you've just graduated from drama school, they might be more inclined to see you. If you're a kid and you've just got through public auditions for, say, Matilda, Billy Elliot, Oliver, Annie, an offer of work can be very persuasive. So what should we bring to a meeting? First up, headshot. They need to put a name to the face and imagine you on their roster. Now, at this stage, it doesn't have to be professional, but it does need to represent you professionally. So no holiday snaps, no drunk selfie at the nightclub. Once you're with the agency, they'll ask for new headshots. They might have a particular style in mind, or they might want to highlight a particular aspect of your character. But for now, a photo from your phone is fine. Just make sure you're the only one in the shot. It's even lighting with no hard shadows. Colour rather than black and white just gives them a bit more detail. You should be relaxed but engaged, and no filters, because it needs to represent you honestly. Now, ideally, it should be more interesting than, say, a corporate image of a banking CEO, maybe not as wild as high fashion. If in doubt, look at their website just to get a sense of what a headshot is. You can also bring in supporting images. Again, not you posing in your bedroom. They want to see you in action, on stage, on a film set, different looks. And consider photos that demonstrate unique skills. I mean, do you do dressage, show jumping, jiu-jitsu, synchronized swimming? Just kidding. No one cares about synchronized swimming. The second thing is a video show reel. Now, these days, most people have access to some kind of editing software. So this should be 2 to 3 minutes of your best work. Keep it snappy. Now, if you're coming to an agent as a singer, they want to hear you sing. If you're a dancer, they want to see you move. They want to see how you connect with an audience, how you work with other actors. So don't make them use their imagination. If it doesn't show you your best, don't use it. If the footage is shaky and the sound is poor, don't use it. If you're third spear bearer from the left and they can't tell who you are, what am I going to say? Don't use it. Now, experience is always important, but this meeting is about how that experience demonstrates future potential. On the other hand, if you don't have a lot of experience, just bring whatever you've got. Third thing, CV. And again, this doesn't have to be complex, it doesn't have to be fancy. Just list the productions you've been in and the roles you've played. If you've been busking, list that. If you've been paid to sing in a cafe or restaurant, put that down as well. This is our opportunity to demonstrate that we've already committed to the industry. Now, if you're well known for something online and you have a legitimate following, bring evidence of that. But if you're known more for your personality than for acting, choose your agent wisely, because maybe a broader creative management team or a celebrity agent might be a better fit for you than a theatrical agent. The fourth thing, which is something people often overlook, is to prepare some questions. This is potentially a long-term relationship, so the interview goes both ways. Ask them about them. How long have they been an agent? What do they like about the industry? Do they have any tips? What is the actor-agent relationship? Ask them about their agency. How many people on the books? Do they specialise? What services do they offer? Ask them about their first impressions of you. Where do you see me fitting in? How do you think I'd be cast? We all want to show our best self, so of course be selective about what you share, but don't bullshit. They can spot it a mile away and just screams of desperation. In the end, they want the authentic you. So what should you wear to the meeting? Well, this is a creative industry, so there's room for personal expression. But this is also a professional meeting, so you need to represent yourself professionally. So start with a clean, presentable version of you. If you don't wear suits, don't wear a suit. If you want to dress up, make sure it feels right for a daytime meeting. Now, if you're especially quirky, you have to ask yourself, is quirky going to make you more memorable? Or is quirky going to make it more difficult for them to see you in a variety of roles? I can't answer that one for you. But whatever you do, avoid dressing overtly sexy. It's uncomfortable, it's unprofessional. Unless you're a hooker. In which case, you're going to need a very different agent. It can take time to get an agent, and it's not always easy. So if you don't get one first time out, don't think of it like a rejection. This is just another audition. Maybe their books are full. Maybe they have enough people of your age that look like you and they don't want you all competing within the agency. Maybe they are interested in you, but they'd prefer to talk to you when you have a bit more experience. But if they say no, you're allowed to ask why. But if you want an honest answer, be prepared that it might not be flattering. Think of the notes for Fred Astaire's original screen test for MGM. It said, can't sing, can't act, is balding, can dance a little. But then he goes on to become one of the hottest properties and an icon of film. What does anyone know about anything? So, do we need an agent? Well, if you have the time and energy to learn about contract law, pay scales, work conditions, if you have the personality that can negotiate business and focus on the creative work, and if you have industry contacts to hear about auditions when they happen, then maybe not. For the rest of us, as an actor, then yes, we probably need an agent. Most producers won't deal with individuals, and an agent is how people find you. It gives you credibility and says you're professional. It gives you access to opportunities not otherwise available to the public. It's bargaining power, and it's a buffer between you and the business. In an industry that eats people alive, it's good to have someone on your side. So if you have any questions, that's what the comments are for. But for now, thank you so much for watching. I really do love you. I'd pimp you out for $1. Now get out there and be brilliant.